I actually lost like 10 kilos just in a matter of a few months after doing the subconscious healing.
Hello, and welcome to the Evolving with Jessica podcast. My name is Jessica. I am an integrative nutrition health coach, a holistic skin healing guide, and certified life coach. In this podcast, we cover topics such as holistic health and wellness, nutrition, and spirituality. If you enjoy or gain any insight, please leave a review. This makes the show more searchable, which helps others find the information too. In this episode, I am joined by Arlie Rose. Arlie is a naturopath and a holistic coach who helps women transform their relationship with themselves on all levels, body, mind, and soul, so that they can feel whole within themselves and live a deeply satisfying life. I think you'll notice that Arlie has a very calming energy, and I really enjoyed our conversation. We connected on many topics like healing using the subconscious mind, having a history with disordered eating, and taking a more natural approach to healing rather than opting for traditional mainstream medicine. And I wanted to ask you if you could please give a like, share, or review if you get anything out of listening to this talk. It would help tremendously, as this is the only way that the podcast can grow and reach more people. And I would really, really appreciate it. So I want to thank you in advance. I love you, I appreciate you, and I hope you enjoy the episode. What does subconscious healing entail?
Oh, amazing question. So, subconscious healing is about identifying different beliefs in the subconscious mind. So many of us often live life from our subconscious, like our subconscious creates our reality and we don't realize we're doing that. So subconscious healing is about identifying those different limiting beliefs and replacing them with supportive beliefs.
I want to pause real quick.
Yeah.
Let's identify, let's define subconscious for those, like how would you describe what is the subconscious?
So the subconscious is sort of like the behind the scenes like programming from our childhood and different experiences in life. So different experiences create certain beliefs, or we could take beliefs on from family members and friends and just people we've grown up with. So our subconscious is usually formed in the first 7 years roughly of our life. Yeah, and it's just a bit different to our conscious mind. Like when we're thinking in everyday life, like that's more conscious. Whereas our subconscious is things that we might not necessarily be aware of. And we have to concentrate a little bit more to become aware of those, subconscious beliefs and thoughts and things like that.
Subconscious healing entails using our subconscious mind to rewire our beliefs.
Yeah, so with subconscious healing, like it's really good to work with a practitioner at the start because it can be hard to identify your own beliefs. Usually if you get stuck in like thought patterns or cycles and things like that of negative thinking, whether you're thinking like I'm not good enough or you're beating yourself up about something, you can kind of figure out that there's beliefs in there. Like, yeah, if you get trapped in that negative thought cycle, you can kind of feel into what thoughts am I thinking, what beliefs are they related to. But with a practitioner, they can identify that for you and teach you how to do it for yourself. So then over time, it becomes a lot easier. And the more you do it, the more effortless it becomes as well. A big part of the training I did as well was using intuition to identify the beliefs. So you kind of feel into the person's energy, you tune into their subconscious, and you tune into their higher self as well. And you ask like, what beliefs are creating this experience in their life? What beliefs are, causing them to experience these health issues or causing them to experience low self-esteem and low self-worth? So it's really, really powerful and really amazing. Yeah.
Okay. So it sounds like our beliefs are what determine what we experience. What
Yeah.
would be a common example of someone with, like, what would be something that, like, some type of limiting belief or some type of pattern that they may experience? One that
Yeah.
you see often.
I would say like not like feeling not good enough and the belief that I'm not good enough is a very, very common belief. And, it can create a lot of different experiences in life. Like it can affect your sort of self-perception, like what you actually think of yourself and your confidence. It can affect the way other people treat you because they're feeling into that belief, that energy, whether they're conscious of it or not. It's like you put off the energy of those beliefs. So people may come into your energy and feel like they may be more judgmental of you because of these beliefs you're holding. Or even with money and finances, like you might not attract much money flow because you don't feel good enough deep down. You have those beliefs that you're not good enough for money, you're not good enough, yeah, for even a healthy relationship. Like it affects every single area of life.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay, so how would somebody, what would be like the first step? Like once they've realized I don't feel like I'm good enough for anything that I want, like what do they do? Where do you go from there?
So they can feel into sort of how this plays out in their life. Like it's good to sort of feel into that and reflect on that so that they can recognize that when those patterns or experiences are coming up. Um, yeah, and also feeling into where it came from to start with is good as well. Like it's not essential. It's just like some people like to be curious and it can create a lot of healing by knowing the root cause. Um, but the way to move through it is, yeah, the identifying it and then replacing it with the truth or a supportive belief. So the opposite of I'm not good enough would be, I've always been worthy. Like just being in this world, I'm worthy. And that's the truth of who I am. So you would integrate that and just start like embodying that more as well in daily life. Like recognizing when you shrink yourself down or you have those negative thoughts or you walk into a room like kind of wanting to hide, like all slumped over, just like recognize you're doing that and be like, no, I'm worthy. And then you can just sort of step more into that energy. Yeah.
Mm, powerful. So if you're looking for the root cause of that belief, and then the root cause probably goes back to your childhood between the ages of 1 and 7.
Yeah.
Okay, so then my question is, because this isn't totally foreign to me by any means, but what if somebody can't remember? Like, do you need to remember that memory between the ages of 1 and 7 in order to find that root cause and let go of this limiting belief?
Not specifically. I mean, that's another good thing about working with a practitioner because they can sort of usually feel into that for you. But it's really about feeling into how you're feeling in that moment. You don't have to know details about the moment, but you can tune into that part of yourself whenever it was. You don't even need to know the exact time, but tuning into how you felt. Like maybe you felt like misunderstood by those people around you, or you needed some support that they didn't give you, like, and being aware of that that's what you needed in the moment and giving yourself that, whether it's love or just to know that you're okay and supported and loved. So yeah, it can be different for everybody, but it's just usually about figuring out how you felt in that experience that created that belief and what you needed to move through it. Yeah.
And then giving what you needed to yourself.
Yeah. And usually it's you could just talk to that part of yourself, kind of like imagining your inner child. Like usually it'd be imagining that younger version of yourself who felt like not good enough and yeah, getting into some of the feelings without attaching to them and just you can talk to that part. You can say whatever they need to hear and bring in different energies as well. Because a large part of what I do as a subconscious healer is bringing in different energies as well. Um, but it's not something that happens straight away if you're doing it for yourself. But over time, it will just kind of happen naturally, whether you even realize it or not.
What makes someone worthy of love and confidence?
um, Everyone's worthy of love and confidence, like just being here. Like, if we weren't worthy of those things, we just wouldn't exist. That's my perspective. But at the same time, you have to decide that you're worthy of those things. Like, no one else can decide for you. You can block yourself off from those things your whole life until you decide, no, I'm worthy of those things. So that's what's really important, is realizing that the things that you don't have in life, or the confidence and health and self-esteem that you don't have, is because you're stopping yourself from that, and figuring out why you're blocking yourself from that. Because we often like to blame other people or the world, and it's not other people's fault or the world's fault. It's just reflecting back to us the things that we believe about ourselves and the things that we block ourselves from. So that's another really powerful point as well.
Yeah, definitely. The way I see it is we are love, right? Like that's
Mm-hmm.
what we are. Like, so everything else that stops us from knowing that, or that covers that up, I feel
Mm.
like that's what we need to like let go of. Once we let all of that stuff go away,
Yeah,
then we're just love.
that's so true. It's like our just true state of being, and everything else is just like, yeah, the noise in the way, and the just like cloudiness in the way of that. It's like returning to who you really are.
Yeah. And you were just saying that what we see in others is just a reflection. So one of the questions I wanted to ask you was, why do women judge and criticize each other?
It could be for a few different reasons. Like, usually it can be because that's how they feel about themselves. Like, they're judging and criticizing themselves. So they just do it to other people around them. It can also be like they feel like threatened or jealous. Like, when we see other people that have what we want, sometimes that can be our initial response. Um, and it's something good to pick up on if you are kind of reacting that way to other people, um, to learn to celebrate them, because that's actually a high frequency to be in. If you're celebrating other people, living the life that you want, or getting the things that you want, it's like it's showing you that it's possible for you. And if you can see it that way, it actually makes the journey to those things that you really desire, it makes it so much effortless. Yeah.
Mm. You make it sound like it's more evolved to feel that way. And when you said that we may feel like threatened or jealous, I'm thinking like, like I wonder if that's more like a primal instinct
Mm,
rather than like, yeah.
yeah. Well, I guess it's kind of like a survival thing as well from the past. Um, and like it's just it's a kind of a normal human instinct to even like judge and things as well. Like, it's something our mind naturally does. And that's another big thing that I work on with people, is like coming out of the mind and coming more into our higher self embodiment. Um, which is an interesting kind of space to be in. Um, yeah, trying to explain it in the best way. I guess our mind is like our identity that we're built up over time, the ways
Mm.
we use to protect ourselves, and the part that tries to protect us. So that's where all the negative thoughts and things come from as well. Um, yeah.
Yes, it's like those beliefs that have served us all our life and they've kept us safe. So we hold on
Mm,
to them and they
yeah.
just become part of us. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Yeah.
want to hear about your journey and your healing story, because you don't become a holistic coach or a naturopath without going through something yourself.
Yeah, so my journey's been quite a long one. It started when I was probably 12 or 13, the start of high school. I started experiencing different health issues like weight gain and fatigue, and sort of anxiety and things as well. And so I really wanted to find a solution to why I was experiencing that. And I tried different doctors and things like that, but they always told me that there was nothing wrong with me or that I was like making it up, because they'll be like, you can't, exercise that much or eat, those kinds of food and still be the weight that you are. You can't, like, that's just not normal. You must be lying. Like, you must be secretly like eating all these like chocolates or cakes or things like that. So that was like really hard to like constantly feel like I was, hitting a dead end with finding a solution. And it wasn't just about, losing weight. It was about feeling good about myself as well. Um, and, increasing my energy. I was also like losing hair as well, which wasn't great. So I basically tried everything I came across. Like, I tried like hypnotherapy and like different personal trainers, different nutritionists, dietitians, like all sorts of things. And eventually I came across a naturopath, and I just really loved that she actually listened to me and saw me and made me feel like, my issues were real and that they were actually affecting me. And I did notice some changes with her through like herbal medicine and a few like diet and lifestyle changes as well. Um, and then this sort of was a process over the whole of high school until I was 21 when I came across subconscious healing. Because I was still experiencing some symptoms and I was confused as to why that was. I'd done so many tests, I'd seen so many different people, I'd done a lot of the stuff that the naturopath recommended, and I was still experiencing symptoms. So I came across subconscious healing and it created such a positive impact on me. And it wasn't just like my physical health, it was how I felt about myself. Like, I saw myself in a new light. I felt more positive about who I was, and I felt more positive about my body. I felt more connected to my body. And I actually lost like 10 kilos just in a matter of a few months after doing the subconscious healing, which I found was really amazing after all of high school, like not seeing any shifts or results. I
That
got
was
more
without
energy.
changing. Sorry to interrupt. That was
It's
without
okay.
changing any diet or exercise.
No, like I was like active, like I was doing less than what I did in high school. Like in high school, I exercised 5 days a week for an hour, and I would not eat refined sugar, mainly just, salad, veggies, smoothies, things like that. And then during this time, while I was doing the subconscious healing, I wasn't as restricted. Like, I was eating, normal chocolate like Cadbury, and like I don't eat that now, but at the time I was eating like Cadbury like twice a week, and I was doing like a HIIT workout once a week and surfing sometimes. Like, that's all I was doing, and I managed to lose that amount of weight. So it was really amazing. And so yeah, then I became a subconscious healer myself, and now I do that. And in between that time of working with that naturopath and finding subconscious healing, I also became a qualified naturopath as well. So I just love that I can work on the body, like the physical level and the energetic level, because I kept noticing that as soon as like my emotions were out of balance, then my body would become out of balance. And then once I learned more about subconscious beliefs and how they affect the body and affect our life, it was just like this amazing, like harmonious, like healing process.
I love that you mentioned healing the inner body, the energetic body, and the physical body, because
Mm,
you can't heal one without the other. I mean, you can't heal if you just address the physical body.
no. And that's something like so many people don't realize.
Yeah. So people treat, like for me, with the women that I work with, before I work with them, they want to treat their skin, they want to treat the surface of the issue. Or, when your hair was falling out, you'd want to, that's why places that do different treatments for hair regrowth, where they put hair literally like into your scalp, or do injections,
Mm,
like they think to treat it from there, but it's so much deeper than that.
Yeah.
So where would you begin? I'm guessing you begin with the subconscious mind, and then as you work with somebody, then it starts to show on the outer physical body.
Yeah, like usually you would start subconscious mind and see what shifts they create from that, and then go into the body a bit more and work on the physical level. And another thing is like the physical level sometimes takes a little while to catch up. So
Mm.
you may do like a month or two of energetic healing and you don't notice the physical shifts until, yeah, the second or third month. It just takes a little bit to catch up. Yeah.
Okay. I did notice from my research that you talk about having a healthy relationship with food. And now that I know some of your backstory, I understand. Did you have an unhealthy relationship with food?
Yeah, I did. So towards the end of high school, because I was quite restrictive with my eating because I knew that if I didn't restrict myself, then I would put on weight. Like I had to just eat very clean, otherwise, yeah, I'd put on weight. So after a while, I just got so sick of it. Like I wanted to enjoy life a little bit. Like I was in high school, like my friends would eat all this food and like they would maintain their weight. They wouldn't even have to try. Um, and so yeah, I got into this habit of like binging for like a weekend, then going on a diet, and then I'd do that for like 6 weeks. And then I'd binge for a weekend and then go like on another diet. And then eventually kind of just led to like bulimia, which yeah, lasted a couple years. I just couldn't eat any like sugar or like fatty food, any like takeaway or anything like that. I just felt too guilty. And it sort of just caused that outcome. But once I did the subconscious healing, it really helped me to overcome that, which was really amazing. And yeah, it's also about like how the food makes you feel um emotionally, because I noticed that it wasn't just about the guilt as well. Like when I did eat those foods, like they affected my emotional state. They made me feel more depressed and things like that. And I think it's just all the chemicals and the sugars and things like that are in the food as well. So and something else that I've learned through like being a naturopath is there's a lot of deficiencies that can cause us to have that kind of relationship with food where we feel like we need to binge or restrict our eating as well, which is super interesting.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I find it really supportive to have like a relationship with food, because during this time I was like, it's something I can't give up. Like usually when people have addictions and like those kinds of issues, they go through a process of giving it up. But food is something we have to continually have in our life to survive. So how do you work around that when it's something that's constantly in your face? Like how do you get over that kind of addiction, I guess, if yeah, it's a part of your life. So that was quite like confronting for me as well. But over time, I just found that if I felt like sugar, I'd have sugar, but I'd have it in the form of fruit or like a protein ball or something like that. So I'm still like helping that craving, but I'm doing it in a way that makes me feel good.
Mm. A couple different directions I want to go in with this. First of all, it is so sad the amount of women today that suffer with this, that have some sort of, whether it's body dysmorphia or just some sort of unhealthy relationship with food. I had my own experience too, similar to yours, when I was in high school and I was counting every single calorie. This was when I kind of ate, like I didn't eat the way I do now, but if I chewed a piece of gum, I would count that 5 or 10
Mm.
calories and I would add it
Yeah.
all up. And I would make sure I would spend enough time on the treadmill to burn off more than what I ate. And I would weigh myself 20 times a day. And it was just like, I know for me at that time, it was more about control because
Mm.
my life were changing. And that was one thing I could control. was, my weight and what I put in my body. So yeah, but it got very unhealthy. Like you said, we need to figure that out because we can't just do away with food. Like these human bodies that we're in need food to survive on this planet, just like sleep. Like we need to have a healthy relationship with sleeping because it's something we have to do while we're here. So yeah, very great points. And then there was another good point that you made. The nutrition inside the food is not what it used to be. And so it's harder for us to get the nutrients that we need. So we overeat because our bodies are telling us they're not satisfied, right? So it's like we keep eating, but it's still not getting what it needs. So it's like we're never actually satiated and we think we're still hungry, but really we're just nutrient deficient.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. I was quite deficient in nutrients for a long time. And I mean, it's also important to get to the root cause of why, like, yeah, our food is less nutrient dense, but something I discovered was that I had all these gut issues that were stopping the absorption of nutrients. So that was another thing. Like I find gut healing to be so powerful for everything, really. Like our gut just affects every part of our body, really.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a whole other part of it is are the nutrients bioavailable? Is your body able to absorb them? Are you functioning properly internally? So yeah, not only does your food need to be right, but everything needs to be working properly at the same time. And how can someone tune in and listen to their body?
That's a very interesting question. Um, so I guess it's something I do so like effortlessly. It can be hard to explain. So usually I suggest to kind of get into like a meditative state, like put on some like binaural beats or some nice music. Um, Particularly like the first few times you're doing it, like you don't have to do that every time. And just like sort of lay there or sit there and just set the intention to like connect with your body. It's all about intention, and you can kind of do like a body scan and notice different sensations and just get curious about how your body's feeling. And then you can actually ask it like how you'd ask a person a question. You can ask your body. And sometimes you might not get a message and other times you will, but most of the time you will. Like you can ask, what kind of food do you need to like nourish yourself today? Those types of things. So you can like properly speak to your body in that way, but you can also listen to what it's telling you through symptoms as well, and just how it's feeling, like the tension. Like you can get curious about why is that tension there, or why am I experiencing acne? And then it comes kind of back to the beliefs and how you're taking care of yourself. Like maybe you're choosing to work an extra shift a week when your body really wants that extra day to rest, or maybe you're choosing to stay up 2 hours past when you're meant to go to bed, like scrolling on Instagram or something like that. So yeah, that's how I sort of listen to my body and suggest my clients connect with their body. But it can be different for everybody. Like there's not one right way to do everything.
So I'm hearing is ask your body questions
Mm-hmm.
and it will communicate with you. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
And you just got to be patient.
Yeah, you got to be patient and you got to be open to receiving the messages. You work with women on improving their self-esteem.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the tools that you could provide the listeners with that they could use if they're feeling down about themselves?
I feel like it comes back to like feeling into those negative beliefs. Like most women are like struggle with their self-esteem because of that negative talk in the background. So start to pay attention to what that voice in the background is saying, and start to switch it around a bit. Like when you notice it's saying something mean or negative, switch it to something positive, like say something nice about yourself. Something I also like to suggest to clients is to write a list of your like greatest qualities, like the things that you really love about yourself. Like what is your superpower? Like what is your greatness? What makes you you? Um, find that's really powerful because we're all so unique and so different. And when you can remind yourself of that, it's like no one else can be like you. No one else can add the same value that you add to the world. So yeah, that's probably one of the biggest ones.
I love that. What are some of the things that make you you?
Me. I have a very nurturing energy and a very deep connection to the body and earth and healing in that way. Yeah.
Yeah, I could definitely feel that. Is there anything else that you want to share?
Don't give up on like your goals and your wishes like in life. There can be so many like times where people around us or experiences make us feel like it's not possible or that it's just not going to happen, that it can't happen. And if you listen to that, then you're not going to get where you want to, but like your vision is possible, whether it's health or confidence or like loving yourself, like that is possible. It's just about returning to who you actually are and overcoming those blocks that are in the way that are just it's like those blocks teach you to come back to yourself. It's just about seeing it that way rather than something to push you backwards. It's something to help you learn.
Yes, looking at what happens and those things in your life and asking like what am I supposed to learn from this? What does this teach me?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, my final question. What is your number one health tip? Whether it's mindset, diet and nutrition, physical, emotional, just the one piece of advice that you would like everyone to know.
That's hard because I have so many. I would say like being connected to yourself is the number one tip, because being connected to yourself means that you can know how you're feeling, you can know who you are, you can know what supports you. Like how do you make decisions that support your growth and healing if you're not connected to yourself?
Beautiful. Where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram. My name is Ellie Rose. And via email as well at hello@ailyrose.com.
All right, and I will have that in the show notes as well. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you. It was amazing.
Everyone have a beautiful day. That concludes this episode. If this resonated with you, please give it a rating and review. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out on Instagram. I would love to hear from you. Links are in the show notes. I sincerely thank you for your time and your presence.